The answer came not in words, but in presence. The predator's glowing eye peered through the chamber window, watching him as if guarding him. It was no longer just a beast of war. It was something more. Perhaps it saw in him something the council could not. Perhaps it bowed not to strength, but to something deeper. Courage, kindness, a spirit that could not be broken. But even as he sat in silence, a shadow moved beyond the walls. An assassin, cloaked in void light, crept closer with a blade of poisoned crystal. The council's vote had not ended the fear. Some wanted him gone before he could grow into a greater threat. And as the assassin raised the blade, ready to strike, the predator roared. The roar shattered the crystal walls. Guards rushed in, alarms rang, and the chamber shook. The assassin tried to flee, but a single swipe of the predator's claw ended the attempt. Smoke filled the air, and silence fell once again. The human looked up at the beast outside, its head bowed low as if asking for forgiveness. The message was clear. The predator would not allow him to die. Not now. Not ever. And so, the galaxy learned something new. It was not only that the apex predator bowed to a human, it was that the predator would fight for him, kill for him, protect him. And nothing in the stars was more dangerous than a beast of war that had chosen loyalty over fear. The attack on the human's chamber changed everything. The assassin's body had barely cooled before rumors spread across the galaxy. Some said the council itself had ordered the strike. Others claimed rival empires could not accept the shame of a human's rise. Whatever the truth, one fact could not be hidden. The apex predator had defended its chosen master. For the first time in history, the predator fought not for blood, not for power, but for protection. The council was divided. Half of them demanded the human's execution, calling him a danger to galactic peace. The other half argued that killing him would break the ancient laws and plunge the galaxy into chaos. Voices rose, claws slammed against tables, and fists shook in rage. The human stood at the center, silent, watching them argue as if they were children fighting over shadows. He did not need their approval anymore. The predator had already chosen him. Meanwhile, fleets moved in the dark. In secret starports, massive ships were armed with weapons designed to pierce the predator's hide. Armies trained to kill humans, studying their weaknesses. An alliance of fearful empires was forming, bound by one goal: destroy the human before he could lead the predator against them. Their leaders whispered in hidden chambers, plotting war. They believed the council would hesitate, but they would not. They would strike first. The predator itself grew restless. Each night it prowled the edges of the council's shining city, its glowing eyes scanning the horizon, its body tense, as if sensing the storm to come. The human watched from his chamber window, wondering if he had brought doom upon his people. Earth was far away, small and unprepared. If the galaxy turned against humanity, could they survive? The thought weighed on him, but the predator's watchful eye gave him strength. If the beast believed in him, perhaps he could believe too. One evening, the human was summoned to the council again. The chamber was packed, every seat filled, every eye burning into him. A decision was to be made. Would the predator and its human master be accepted as part of galactic law, or would they be declared enemies of all? The vote would decide the fate of humanity. As he stood before them, the air thick with tension, the doors shook with a thunderous impact. The council chamber trembled. Alarms blared. Something had arrived. Through the shattered entrance marched an army of black-armored soldiers, their insignia marked with the sigil of the Void Dominion, a ruthless empire known for breaking laws when it suited them. Behind them, a general with crimson eyes and a voice like grinding stone stepped forward. He declared what the council feared to hear. The Dominion would not wait for votes. They had come to kill the human and destroy the predator. War began now. The council screamed in chaos. Some demanded guard to defend the chamber. Others shouted for surrender. But the human did not move. He looked only at the predator outside the hall. The beast's roar shook the skies as it crashed through the crystal walls, scattering Dominion soldiers like insects. Its claws sliced through metal. Its tail smashed armored ranks. Its roar turned courage to dust. The council watched in horror as their chamber became a battlefield. The human stepped forward, unarmed, into the storm. Dominion soldiers raised weapons at him. But before they could fire, the predator shielded him with its massive body. Plasma bolts burned against its scales, but the beast did not fall. Instead, it answered with fire and fury, tearing apart machines and soldiers alike. The human placed his hand on the predator's hide, and once more, it lowered its head. Together they moved as one, man and monster, against an army that believed itself unstoppable. Minutes felt like centuries. The council fled in panic. The chamber cracked under explosions, and when the smoke cleared, the Dominion army was gone, crushed beneath claw and flame. Only silence remained. The predator stood breathing heavily, its scales glowing with battle light, while the human stood at its side, untouched. The counselors who had doubted now stared at him with new eyes. Not fear alone, but something sharper. Respect. Yet respect was not enough to stop what had begun. The Dominion had declared war, and others would follow. Already whispers spoke of fleets gathering, empires uniting, a storm of fire coming for Earth. Humanity, once ignored, was now at the center of the galaxy's greatest war. The human knew he could not hide. If the galaxy wanted to test humanity, then humanity must answer, not with fear, not with surrender, but with courage. That night, under the shattered skies of the council world, the human placed his hand on the predator again. Its eyes glowed, watching him as if awaiting his command. He whispered softly, though none could hear but the beast. If war was coming, then they would fight together, man and predator, and the galaxy would learn a new truth. It was not the predator who bowed to a human. It was the galaxy itself that would bow to humanity. The war at the council chamber was only the beginning. The attack from the Dominion had been defeated, but the galaxy was not at peace. Instead, it burned with fear and anger. Every empire asked the same question. If the apex predator fought for a human, then what did that mean for the balance of power? The human became a name spoken on every world. On planets of ice, in cities built on gas giants, in hidden colonies on moons, his story was told again and again. A simple man had touched the untouchable. The predator, a beast feared for centuries, had bowed to him. Some called him a hero, others a curse. But no one ignored him anymore. In the great halls of the Dominion, their generals gathered in shadow. They spoke of revenge, of crushing Earth before it grew stronger. Their eyes glowed with hate, but behind their rage was fear. They had seen their armies shattered, their flagship destroyed, their soldiers fleeing from one man and his beast. Fear made them dangerous, and dangerous enemies always struck harder the second time. On Earth, the news of Castor's battle reached every home. Families who once thought themselves as small now stood tall. Factories worked without rest. Soldiers trained until their hands bled. Humanity had been chosen, and they would not waste a chance. The predator's image, with his head bowed, was painted on banners and ships. For the first time, Earth's people united as one. But unity brought enemies closer. The council world shook with debates. Some members argued humanity should be accepted as an equal race, perhaps even given a seat in the council itself. Others shouted that humans were a danger, that the predator was a weapon too great for one small species to hold. Words turned to threats, and threats turned into secret deals made in dark corners. War was not just on the battlefield. It was now in politics, too. The humans saw the council break apart before his eyes. He stood in their chamber, hearing their voices rise like storms. But he did not answer with anger. He stood calm, silent, watching. The predator waited outside the city, watching too, its glowing eyes fixed on the sky. The beast seemed to sense something greater was coming. And it was right, because in the dark between stars, fleets gathered again. Not only the Dominion, but others too. Empires afraid of change. Rulers who feared their own people would rise like humans had. They called it an alliance of safety, but it was nothing more than fear dressed in armor. They prepared to strike together, hoping to crush humanity before it grew too powerful. The galaxy was moving toward a war unlike any before. The first sign came when a council patrol vanished. A fleet sent to the rim never returned, their signals cut off in silence. Then, colonies near Earth reported black ships moving in shadows. The Dominion was not waiting. They were testing, probing, preparing. Earth would be the target, and soon. The human knew it. He had no time to rest. He had no time to doubt. He placed his hand on the predator's scales once more, and the beast lowered its head. They would face the storm together. When the second battle came, it was not in secret halls, but in the skies above Lorthan, a council world of crystal towers and silver seas. The Dominion struck without warning, black ships raining fire down upon the city. Civilians fled as towers shattered and seas boiled. The council screamed for help, but their own fleets were too slow. And so, the predator roared, rising into the sky with a human at its side. The sight froze the Dominion. The beast tore through their ships, fire spilling from its jaws, claws cutting steel apart. Human ships, smaller and fewer, followed with fierce courage, striking with the predator open gaps. Together, man and beast broke the attack, and Lorthan was saved. But it was only one battle in a war that was spreading wider every day. When the smoke cleared, the council looked at the human with new eyes. Some finally understood that humanity was not weak. Others grew more afraid, whispering that if humans and the predator could win today, tomorrow they might take everything. The chamber once again filled with divided voices. But outside, the predator bowed its head low, and the human placed his hand on it. He did not need their approval. He already had the loyalty of the galaxy's greatest power. And that was enough. The Battle of Lorthan did not end the war. It made it grow. Across the stars, empires that once hid in silence now revealed their true faces. Fear ruled them, and fear pushed them together. The Dominion called for allies, and many answered. Soon, a dark alliance of fleets stretched across the void, united by one goal, to destroy humanity before it rose too high. On Earth, leaders watched the stars with heavy eyes. They knew the storm was coming. The reports were clear. Hundreds of ships, thousands of soldiers, weapons forged to pierce even the predator's scales. Earth's defenses were small compared to such power. But the human who had touched the predator did not speak of fear. He spoke of courage. He told his people that numbers did not win wars. Spirit did, and humanity's spirit had never burned brighter. The predator itself grew restless. Each night it walked the edges of Earth's skies, its wings glowing with blue fire, its eyes scanning the dark. It knew what was coming. Even before the stars revealed the truth, the beast was ready. It had bowed to the human once, but now it stood waiting, not as a servant, but as a partner. Together they would fight, and together they would decide the fate of galaxies. When the Dark Alliance finally moved, the sky above Earth turned black. Countless warships appeared, blotting out the sun, their weapons glowing with power. They came not only from the Dominion, but from many races. Some fought for pride, others for fear, some for revenge. But all believed they could crush humanity and its beast in one great strike. The Council, divided and broken, sent no help. Earth stood alone. The first strikes rained fire. Cities shook. Oceans boiled. The people of Earth cried out as towers fell and shields broke. But even in that moment of despair, the predator roared. Its body lit with blue fire as it rose into the sky. The human rode upon its back, armor shining, his hand resting on the beast's neck. Together they faced the storm, man and monster, against an army of thousands. The enemy opened fire, plasma bolts and burning cannons filling the sky. But the predator moved with speed beyond belief. Its wings slicing through clouds, its claws tearing ships apart. The human guided it, calm and steady, his voice carrying through calms to Earth's fleet. Every order was clear, every move sharp. Small human ships darted like wolves around giants. Striking where the predator broke holes in enemy lines. The sky burned with war, but humanity did not fall. Hours passed, and still the battle raged. The predator was wounded, its scales cracked, its blood glowing bright against the night. But it did not stop. With each roar it grew fiercer, fighting not as a beast of hunger, but as a guardian. Soldiers on Earth watched from below, their courage growing as they saw the impossible. Their leader and his beast were not losing. They were holding the line against the galaxy itself. But the enemy was endless. For every ship destroyed, another appeared. For every soldier killed, 10 more came. The Dark Alliance was too large, too powerful. Even the predator began to slow, its wings heavy, its roar softer. The human felt its pain as his own, yet he did not let despair take him. He knew that courage was not about never falling. It was about standing even when the fall seemed certain. And then, in the heart of the storm, the predator did something no one expected. Instead of fighting with rage, it flew high, higher than the enemy ships, higher than the clouds, higher than the sky itself. Its body glowed brighter and brighter, until it was like a second sun above Earth. Then, with the human on its back, it dived. The dive shook the heavens, a comet of fire and fury, smashing into the enemy fleet with a roar that split the void. Ships shattered, armies scattered, and the alliance that had thought itself invincible began to break. The people of Earth screamed in victory. Their courage spread like fire. Human ships pushed forward, striking harder, faster. The predator, though wounded, still fought, its claws tearing to the last of the enemy's pride. And when the dust cleared, the sky above Earth was filled not with dark ships, but with burning wreckage falling like broken stars. Against all odds, Earth had stood, and Earth had won. Yet victory carried a price. The predator collapsed upon the ground, its massive body shaking the earth. Blood pulsed from its wounds, and its eyes dimmed. The human rushed to its side, his hand on its scales, whispering words no one else could hear. The beast had given everything. It had bowed once in peace, and now it bowed again in sacrifice. And as it lowered its head, the galaxy trembled with a new truth. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had been reborn in fire. The battlefield above Earth had turned silent. Broken ships drifted in orbit like dead stars, their fires fading into the darkness. On the ground, humanity stood among ruins but also among victory. For the first time in history, they had faced a united might of the galaxy and survived. But survival had come with a cost. The apex predator, the beast of legends, lay wounded, its great body trembling, its glowing eyes dim. Soldiers and civilians gathered around in silence, afraid to breathe, afraid to lose the creature that had become their guardian. The human knelt beside the predator, his hand pressed against its cracked scales. He whispered words only the beast could hear, words of gratitude, of strength, of loyalty. The predator lowered its head one final time, bowing not because it was forced, but because it chose. It had bowed the first time out of recognition, the second time out of loyalty, and now the third time out of love. A bond had been forged between man and monster, one that no galaxy could break. The council sent messages soon after. Some offered peace, claiming they had always supported humanity. Others threatened war still, unable to accept that Earth had risen so far. But the council's words no longer mattered. The galaxy had seen the truth with its own eyes. A human had touched the untouchable, fought against thousands and stood unbroken. The predator itself had bowed before him, not once, but many times. No law, no fleet, no empire could erase that truth. News spread across worlds faster than light. On mining colonies, workers raised their tools in salute. On frozen planets, children drew the predator's shape in ice. On distant battlefields, soldiers whispered a human's name like a prayer. The galaxy had laughed at Earth once. Now they whispered its name with awe. Humanity had become more than a race. It had become a legend. But legends were not built on beasts alone. Humanity itself had changed. Earth, once divided by nations and borders, stood united for the first time. The predator's bow had not just been to a man. It had been to all of humanity. Factories rebuilt what had been lost. Families carried hope where there had been fear. The people looked up to the stars not with dread, but with determination. They were no longer afraid of what waited out there. They were ready to claim their place. The predator, though wounded, did not die. Days passed, and its strength began to return. Its body healed slowly, its glowing veins pulsing once more with light. When it finally rose to its feet, the ground shook with power. The galaxy had thought it was broken, but the beast still stood, scarred but unyielding. And when it bowed once more to the human, every heart watching knew the meaning. The bond was eternal. The Dominion, humiliated and shattered, withdrew into shadows. Their fleets were broken, their pride destroyed. They swore revenge, but it no longer carried weight. Other empires, once enemies, now sought peace, some out of respect, others out of fear. The council itself, divided as it was, had no choice but to offer humanity a seat among them. For they refused, they knew the galaxy would follow the human and his beast instead. The human accepted, but not for power. He accepted for the future of his people. He knew humanity was still young, still learning, but now they had a place in the stars, a place no one could take from them. And as he stood in the council chamber, the predator waiting outside like a shadow of strength, he spoke not of conquest, but of unity. Humanity did not come to rule. Humanity came to stand equal. Yet every word carried the weight of the bow, and every alien in that hall knew equality was not a gift. It was a demand. Years later, songs would still be sung of the day the apex predator bowed. Children would act out the scene, pretend to place their hands on its glowing scales. Entire planets would build statues of man and beast standing side by side. And in the hearts of all who lived in those times, the legend remained clear. Humanity was no longer weak. Humanity was no longer ignored. Humanity was the race that made the galaxy itself bow. And so the story ended where it began, with a simple man, a simple gesture, and a truth that changed the stars. The apex predator bowed when a human touched it. And from that moment, nothing in the galaxy was ever the same again. The galaxy had always known one truth. No creature, no soldier, no leader dared come close to the apex predator. It was a terror of the stars, a beast so strong that even the galactic council spoke its name in whispers. Entire armies had been erased by its roar. Civilizations collapsed at the sight of its shadow. To touch it was unthinkable. To make it bow was impossible. Or so everyone believed. When the war began, no one expected humans to matter. The Galactic Council, made of powerful alien races, looked down on Earth. To them, humans were small, weak, and untested. The Council believed humans would hide behind stronger species or beg for protection. But they were wrong. The first battle broke out at the edge of the Orion Belt. Alien fleets clashed with unknown forces. Stars burned with exploding ships, and the void echoed with screams carried through comms. Among the chaos, humans were sent only as observers. They were told to watch, learn, and stay quiet. But humans did not like being told to stay quiet. One soldier stood out. He was not a commander or a leader. He was just a man in steel armor, walking among giants. His name was spoken softly, but his courage spoke louder. He stepped where others hesitated. He looked at what others feared to look at. And that was how he came face to face with the apex predator. The creature's ship was not a ship at all. It was a living fortress, scales harder than metal, eyes brighter than suns. When it landed on the Council's war ground, silence fell. Even the bravest alien generals stepped back. The predator emerged, claws scraping across the ground, each step shaking the earth. The air itself seemed to freeze. The Galactic Council whispered the same word. Death. The predator's blue eyes scanned the battlefield. Warriors dropped their weapons. Soldiers bowed their heads. Even machines powered down in fear. But then, one human did something no one had ever done. He did not run. He did not kneel. He walked forward. Gasps echoed to the alien ranks. Was a human mad? Did he not understand what stood before him? The predator tilted its massive head, confused. Its breath steamed, and sparks of energy glowed along its scales. One swipe could crush the man. One roar could erase his mind. Yet he kept walking. The human raised his hand. It was a simple gesture. No weapon, no shield, just a hand reaching out. The predator growled, and the ground cracked beneath its claws. The council shouted for the human to stop, but he did not. His hand touched the predator's face. The galaxy froze. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. The predator, the beast that never bowed, the terror of the stars, blinked. Its growl turned to silence. Its glowing eyes softened. Then, slowly, impossibly, it lowered its head. The apex predator bowed. Shock spread like fire. Aliens stumbled back in disbelief. Commanders shouted, trying to make sense of what they saw. For the first time in history, the apex predator was not king of the battlefield. For the first time, it chose not to kill. It chose to bow to a human. The human stood firm, his hand resting gently on the creature's scaled head. He did not speak. He did not gloat. He simply held his ground, as if this was always how it was meant to be. The predator stayed bowed, breathing slow, waiting for his touch. The Galactic Council could not believe their eyes. Some aliens called it a trick. Others whispered it was destiny. A few trembled, fearing what this meant for the balance of power. If a human could tame the apex predator, what else could humans do? The Council had mocked Earth as weak, but now they were forced to see a new truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was dangerous. The war that had begun as chaos was now something greater. This was not just a battle of fleets and armies. This was the birth of a legend, the story of how a single human touched the untouchable and bent the unbending. The apex predator bowed for the first time in all of history. And every eye in the galaxy watched, knowing nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy did not sleep after the bow of the predator. Across thousands of systems, the news spread like fire through dry grass. In hidden chambers, alien leaders whispered with fear. In the markets of distant planets, traders spoke of humans with new respect. Everywhere, one question echoed: why did the predator bow? The Galactic Council gathered in their shining hall, its walls glowing with the light of 10 suns. Hundreds of alien races sat in their high seats, their eyes fixed on a single human who now stood at the center. He was not a leader, not a general, not even chosen by Earth itself. Yet he was the one who touched the untouchable. They demanded answers. But the human had no speech prepared. He only said the truth. He did not make the predator bow. The predator chose to bow. The words shook the hall. Aliens hissed in disbelief. Some accused him of lying. Some said humans had used hidden tricks, poisons, or technology. Others warned that if the apex predator had chosen to follow humans, then every empire was in danger. Fear turned to anger, and anger turned to shouting. But in the human's calm eyes, there was no fear at all. He simply stood there, as if the weight of the galaxy could not move him. The predator itself was brought forward. Massive chains of plasma wrapped around its neck and body, glowing bright. Dozens of guards trembled as they tried to hold the beast. Yet the predator did not resist. It only kept its glowing eyes fixed on the human. And when the human walked closer, the predator lowered its head again. The chains cracked under the shift, and silence filled the chamber. It bowed once more. The council erupted. Some screamed for the human's death, fearing his power. Others demanded the predator be destroyed before humanity could use it as a weapon. But a small voice rose among them, calm but sharp. It was one of the elder counselors, her skin silver like mirrors. She reminded them all of the old laws written before most of them were born. If the apex predator chose a master, that master had rights none could deny. And now, by the laws of the stars, the predator had chosen a human. The chamber fell silent. No one wanted to believe it. No one wanted to admit it. Yet the truth was clear. The predator bowed not to armies, not to empires, but to a single man from Earth. The council had no choice but to accept it. The human was no longer just a soldier. He was something greater. He was the one who commanded the will of the galaxy's most feared beast. But power draws shadows. Not all were ready to watch humans rise. In the darkness beyond the council's light, enemies began to whisper. If humanity could tame the apex predator, then humanity must be stopped before it was too late. Already, secret fleets prepared their weapons. Already, assassins sharpened their blades. The legend of the bow was only the beginning, and soon blood would be spilled. That night, the human was taken to a chamber with walls of crystal and steel. The predator rested outside, its huge body curled like a mountain, glowing veins of blue light pulsing through its scales. The human sat in silence, staring at his hands. He had not planned this. He had not dreamed of command or power. Yet now, every eye in the galaxy was on him. He asked himself why the predator chose him. Was it chance? Or was it fate?